Welcome to this article on the Resolute Support Mission. This is part of the war in Afghanistan, and as we know, the Resolute Support Mission post 2014 phase was an important phase consisting of anti insurgency operations against the Taliban, Al Qaeda, and ISIL. Let's learn more on the Resolute Support Mission. The Resolute Support Mission, or Operation Resolute Support, was a NATO-led train, advise and assist mission consisting of about 7,772 coalition forces in Afghanistan, which began on January 1st, 2015. It was a follow-on mission to the International Security Assistance Force, or ISAF, which was completed on December 28, 2014. Now, let's see what NATO means. The North Atlantic Treaty Organization is known as NATO, also called the North Atlantic Alliance. It's an intergovernmental military alliance between 28 European countries and 2 North American countries. The organization implements the North Atlantic Treaty that was signed on 4th April 1949. NATO constitutes a system of collective security whereby its independent member states agree to mutual defense in response to an attack by any external party. The NATO headquarters are located in Haren, Brussels, Belgium, while the headquarters of Allied Command Operations is near Mons, Belgium. Since its founding, the administration of new member states has increased the alliance from the original 12 countries to 30. The most recent member state to be added to NATO was North Macedonia on 27th March 2020. NATO currently recognizes Bosnia, Georgia, Ukraine as aspiring members. An additional 20 countries participate in NATO's Partnership for Peace program, with 15 other countries involved in institutionalized dialogue programs. The combined military spending of all NATO members in 2020 constituted over 57% of the global nominal total. Members agreed that their aim is to reach or maintain the target defense spending of at least 2% of their GDP by 2024. Let's go back to our original article on the Resolute Support Mission. What was the legal basis of the Resolute Support Mission? The operation plan for the Resolute Support Mission, or RSM, was approved by foreign ministers of the NATO members in late June 2014, and the corresponding status of forces agreement was signed by President of Afghanistan Ashraf Ghani and NATO senior civilian representative in Afghanistan Maurits Jochems in Kabul on 30th September 2014. The United Nations Security Council unanimously adopted United Nations Security Council Resolution 2189 in support of the new international mission in Afghanistan. What are the objectives and deployment? The objective of the mission was to provide training, advice, and assistance for Afghan security forces and institutions in their conflict with extremist groups such as the Taliban, the Haqqani Network, and ISISK. Let's take a look into each of these. What was the Taliban? The Taliban, which refers to itself as the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan (IEA), is a Deobandi Islamist religious political movement and military organization in Afghanistan, regarded by many governments and organizations as terrorists. It is currently one of the two entities claiming to be legitimate government of Afghanistan, alongside the internationally recognized Islamic Republic of Afghanistan. The Taliban's ideology has been described as combining an innovative form of Sharia Islamic law based on Deobandi fundamentalism and militant Islamism combined with Pashtun social and cultural norms known as Pashtunwali, as most Taliban are Pashtun tribesmen. From 1996 to 2001, the Taliban held power over roughly three-quarters of Afghanistan and enforced a strict interpretation of Sharia or Islamic law. Let's take a look what Sharia means. Sharia is a religious law forming part of the Islamic tradition. It is derived from the religious precepts of Islam, particularly the Quran and the Hadith. In Arabic, the term Sharia refers to God's immutable divine law and is contrasted with fiqh, which refers to its human scholarly interpretations. The manner of its application in modern times has been a subject of dispute between Muslim fundamentalists and modernists. Traditional theory of Islamic jurisprudence recognizes four sources of Sharia: the Quran, Sunnah, Qiyas, and Ijma. Different legal schools, of which the most prominent are Hanafi, Maliki, Shafi school, and Hanbali, develop methodologies for deriving Sharia rulings from scriptural sources using a process known as ijtihad. Traditional jurisprudence fiqh distinguishes two principal branches of law: ibadat and muamalat, social relations and rituals, which together comprise a wide range of topics. Its rulings are concerned with ethical standards such as with legal norms, assigning actions to one of the five categories: mandatory, recommended, neutral, abhorred, and prohibited. Thus, some areas of Sharia overlap with the Western notion of law, while others correspond more broadly to living life in accordance with God's will. Classical jurisprudence was elaborated by private religious scholars, largely through legal opinions, fatwas, issued by qualified jurists or muftis. It was historically applied in Sharia courts by ruler-appointed judges who dealt mainly with civil disputes and community affairs. Now let's go back to our original article on the Resolute Support Mission. Let's read more on the Haqqani Network. The Haqqani Network is an Afghan guerrilla insurgent group using asymmetric warfare to fight against US-led NATO forces and the government of Afghanistan. Maulvi Jalauddin Haqqani and his son Sirajuddin Haqqani have led the group. It is an offshoot of the Taliban. The Haqqani Network pledged allegiance to the Taliban in 1995 and have been an increasingly incorporated wing of the group ever since. In the past, the Taliban and Haqqani leaders have denied the existence of the network, calling it no different from the Taliban. In the 1980s, the Haqqani Network was one of the most favored CIA-funded anti-Soviet guerrilla groups by the Reagan administration. In 2012, the United States designated the Haqqani Network as a terrorist organization. In 2015, Pakistan also banned Haqqani Network as part of its National Action Plan. Let's look at the etymology, ideology, and goals of the Haqqanis. The word Haqqani comes from Darul Uloom Haqqaniya, a madrasa in Pakistan attended by Jalaluddin Haqqani. Ideology and goals. The Haqqani network's root values are nationalistic and religious. They are ideologically aligned with the Taliban, who have worked to eradicate Western influence and transform Afghanistan into a strictly Sharia following state and based on Pashtunwali. This was exemplified in the government that formed after Soviet troops were driven from Afghanistan. Both groups have the common goal of disrupting the Western military and political efforts in Afghanistan and driving them from the country permanently. Currently, the group demands that US and coalition forces, made up mostly of NATO nations, withdraw from Afghanistan and no longer interfere with the politics or educational systems of Islamic nations. Let's take a look on the ISISK, which was the other extremist group in the Resolute Support Mission. The Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant, Khorasan province, ISILKP or ISKP, is a self-proclaimed branch of the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant, ISIL, active in South Asia and Central Asia, though ISIL denies any connection. Some media sources also use the terms ISK, ISISK, ISKP, ISISK, or Daesh Khorasan in referring to the group. The Khorasan group has been active in Afghanistan and its area of operations also includes other parts such as Pakistan, Tajikistan, and India, where some individuals have pledged allegiance to it. ISIL announced the group's formation in January 2015 and appointed former Tehrik-i-Taliban Pakistan (TTP) militant Hafiz Saeed Khan as its leader, with former Afghan Taliban commander Abdul Raul Aliza appointed as deputy leader. Aliza was killed in a US drone strike in February 2015, while Khan was killed in a US airstrike in July 2016. The leader of ISIL-KP, Abdullah Orokazai, also known as Aslam Faruqi, was captured in April 2020. Let's go back to our article on the Resolute Support Mission. The objective of the mission was thus to provide training, advice, assistance for Afghan security forces and institutions in their conflict with extremist groups such as the Taliban, the Haqqani Network, and ISISK, which we just learned about now. The Resolute Support Mission consisted of approximately 17,000 personnel from NATO and partner nations in Afghanistan, with the central hub at Kabul and Bagram airfield, supporting four spokes. The spokes were formed by Train Advise Assist Commands TAACS, which directly supported 4 of the 6 Afghan National Army Corps. The Train Advise Assist Command capital replaced the former regional command capital. TAAC East assisted the 201st Corps from FOB Gambari in Lagham. TAAC South assists the 2005th Corps from Kandahar International Airport. TAAC West assisted the 207th Corps in Herat, and TAAC North covered the 209th Corps from Mazari Sharif. Thank you very much for listening to this article on the Resolute Support Mission, which was a NATO-led train, advise and assist mission consisting of about 7,000 coalition forces. For more such articles, install the UPSC Practice app from the App Store.